Here, and I'm gonna be streaming for about an hour and a half this part 4 of my playthrough of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations on the Nintendo Switch. This is the HD version. Just posting this on Discord very quickly. I don't have a lot of time to stream today, unfortunately, but, well, enough so that I think I might be able to put in some good progress. That's something, right? No, this one. Right, Right, I did spoil myself a little bit as to what I was supposed to do here, because I failed to notice that I already had the second thing to unlock the second side key lock. So I'm just gonna skip very quickly through this, because I've already spent some time on this, so let's skip over to the second point straight away. Yeah, at the time of the murder you were away from the security guard office. Yeah, but there's something you didn't think about. Was that my shift that day didn't start until 10 PM. The murderer might have snuck in before then. What do you mean by that? If the murderer had snuck in before 10 PM, then it wasn't my fault. It was the fault of the guy whose shift was before mine. He couldn't have snuck in without a magnetic card to gain access to the CEO's office, and that can't have happened, because only one card key was found. We know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the killer snuck into the CEO's office after 10 PM during your shift. Right, and I didn't think of that yesterday. When you use this key card, does it leave a record? Yeah, it does, but I can't show the record to just anyone, you know. That key card data was already made public in the trial today. What? I didn't know that. Any kind of request for info like that is supposed to go through me. Boy, does that sound a bit arrogant coming from a part-time guard. Anyway, according to the data, the door to the CEO's office was opened with this card. Furthermore, it was most definitely used at 1 AM, the time of the murder. No way! Yes, someone used this to get into the CEO's office. That happened at 1 AM on the night of the crime, right in the middle of your shift. Oh, Larry, you can't duck your responsibility this time. Yeah, no! There we go. The night of the crime. Oh, I knew it. It's all my fault. It's my fault that the boss was killed. My fault. Larry, there was nothing I could do. I have important issues to deal with too, man. What happened that night anyway? My Donna happened. Huh? Your Donna? I got a bad feeling about this. Yeah, my Donna called and said, I have to talk to you right away, so I went to see her and he was standing right there next to her. Who was? Her new boyfriend. It was like some horrible joke. Before I knew what was going on, the guy sucked me right in the kisser. Normally, I'm the one that does the punching, isn't that right, Maya? Yeah? So, is that why you left the security guard office? I'm sorry. It's all my fault. How can I ever make up for it, Nick? What can I do? What? He's curled up on the floor crying like a baby. Oh boy. Nick, is there anything I can do? Anything, just name it. I'll do whatever I have to do to make up for it. I swear I will. Larry. Hey, Nick, as long as he's offering, why don't you show him the evidence we've got? She's right. Maybe we'll get at least one bit of useful information from him. Nick! Wait, what? What am I supposed to present to him? I don't get it. I had this thing. The buzzer in the CEO's office is directly connected to this room, right? That's right, just like my heart is connected to yours, Maya. Huh? Go ahead, Maya, press the buzzer in your heart. I promise I'll come running to your rescue like the professional guard I am. Wow, that was pretty good. Thanks, I tried. Do you think you could tell us about the buzzer now? Yes, please. Please tell us. Okay, I guess so. Prepare to be wowed. Ah, no, not that one. I thought the cursor would still be on the last one I used. Okay, this one. I accidentally pressed the buzzer earlier. Yeah, I heard it, so that was you, huh? You're a security guard, aren't you? Why didn't you come to the CEO's office? Well, this is the 3rd floor of the basement. The CEO's office is on the 1st floor. I thought it would be a good idea to, adopt a wait-and-see approach. Plus, there's a police detective here, yeah, right? I just didn't think it was necessary. It's as if he's trying to win an award for the laziest person on the planet. Let's get back to talking about the night of the murder, okay? Is it true that the buzzer didn't go off that night? There must be a record, right? You must have had a look at it, right? Of course I did, and I couldn't possibly have made a mistake either. Do you think you could take just one more look for me, pretty please? Oh, okay. I just can't say no to you, Maya. What do you think, Nick? He's probably right. Ah, shit, I skipped the text again. What is it? What's wrong? I made a mistake. Huh? But how? It can't be. It's impossible. What mistake? Just calm down and tell us. Okay, enough already. What about the records? That night, it went off just once in the morning at around 1 a.m. 1 a.m.? That's when the murder happened. Really? Are you serious? That's terrible. It can't be. You're fired. Buzzer record added to the court record. Should I go back to Gumshoe, perhaps? I know. Detective Gumshoe, about this right here. Sorry, it's hard to believe, but there's a limit to how much. Yeah, it's his default answer. He's not gonna react to it, huh? The buzzer went off once at 1:02 a.m. on October 12th in the CEO's office. Or what? Should I present him the thing he just gave me? To get more info out of him? You guys have really made me reflect on the way I've been living. But the only problem is, with all this reflecting, where is the time for love? Frankly, I think reflecting is a bit overrated, you know? What are you going on about, Larry? Plus, do you honestly have any new info on the buzzer record? Huh? The record? No, nothing at all. This guy reflects about as much as a piece of black carpeting. But I think I can leave here now. Hey, cut it out, don't press that. Yeah, no, it's the same reaction that I already had yesterday. Yeah, right. And he's not gonna react to the record of the buzzer button. Okay, well, let's move somewhere else then. No, not this one. Nothing new here? No, okay. Main exhibition hall. Right, she had some side key locks that I couldn't unlock. So let's try it again. Yeah, about the sacred urn. I've already checked out everything, I think. Or, hold on. That's probably where the sacred urn was going to be displayed. Yeah, I guess so. Should I put my attorney's badge there? Yeah, that's the reaction I already got. What about my Magatama? Yeah, you're being silly. That's definitely too small. Yeah, okay, no, it's the exact same. You should just remember that I already checked that out. Hi, RNG. Had a very hot day again. Yeah, you know, the usual. Yeah. I expected as much. Miss Andrews, do you know anything about the Sacred Urn? Do I know anything? I'm in charge of the entire treasure exhibit. The urn that was submitted before the court today. It's obviously not the same urn as before. Well, that's, true. Maybe it isn't the same. It could be a fake. You're the one who said it wasn't the same, so that's the most obvious explanation. Do you have any evidence the urn that was submitted at the trial was genuine? Yeah, it's true. I didn't think of that until now, but the urn that was presented, I mean, it could have been a fake. Like the real one might still be somewhere else. Well, do I have proof? Statue of the founder of the crane technique. And it's not that is not the piece of evidence that she requires, so what now? Give me a second. This is tough. Well, I probably don't have the required item. But how can I prove that, though? We have something new here. Mr. Wright! Mr. Delight, did they finish their interrogation? Yes, but please don't leave me alone anymore! Mr. Delight, you lied to us before, didn't you? Well, you see, on the same night the Sacred Urn was stolen from Lordly Taylor department store. A blackmail letter you got summoned you to KB Security to hand over some money. And then that's where the CEO Ken Bullard was murdered. But there's only one Ron Delight, am I right? So the only question is, where were you that night? This time I want to hear the whole truth. Your life depends on it. Okay. Well, let's hope he goes for the truth this time. Mr. Delight, do you still insist that you are Mask the Mask? Isn't that what I've been saying since yesterday? That was a quick response. Tell me about it. To be honest, I'm starting to get irritating. Is it not irritated? But listen, Mr. Delight, at the trial today we learned the true identity of the thief, didn't we? Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown. I guess it's true, I wasn't the one who stole that urn. Of course not. After all, you were at KB Security at the time. So then the person dressed up as Mask the Mask in this photo, it's gotta be Detective Atme. So that night, you didn't go to Lordly Taylor, you went to KB Security, right? Yes, I went to KB Security at the time the blackmail note said I should. Alright, what happened next? Well, I used to work there, so I knew where the CEO's office was. I knocked, but there was no answer. So then I used the keycard to unlock the door. That's probably when he dropped his wallet. When I went into the CEO's office, someone was in there. Someone? Ah, there was a shadow very quickly, but I didn't get to see the outline of it. Then suddenly they bashed me over the head. Bam! Was it Kane Bullard that hit you? I don't know. The person ran away while I was still stunned. When I came to my senses, the sight I saw left me speechless. The dead body of the CEO was right there in front of me. I thought I'd died myself. Anyway, I thought I should do something with the body. So that's why you put it in the safe. Yeah, that's right. I used to be the chief of one of the security teams, so I knew how to open it. Okay, and what did you do after that? Well, I got out of there for starters. I was the one who set up the security cameras in that building. So I knew how to avoid being spotted by them. Nick, all of a sudden, Mr. Delight kinda sounds like the murderer to me. And that would explain also why he insisted that he was the one who stole the urn, though. Because it would have been better than being, like, accused of murder, right? That would have given him an alibi. Like, he couldn't have been there to murder the other guy. That's probably the reason. He's not so delusioned that he would prefer going to jail for a short amount of time for stealing a worthless piece of junk than going to jail for murder. All of a sudden, Mr. Delight, it kinda sounds like the murderer to me. Please don't say that. Why you were fired? Mr. Delight, is it true that 1 year ago you were forced to quit KB Security? How did you? I'm begging you, please don't tell Desi, please. Don't worry, we haven't told anyone yet. Thank goodness. No, but I suppose I'll have to tell her sometime. She'll find out eventually. Why have you been hiding it from her anyway? Desi would despise me if she ever found out I was living a life of crime. A criminal, a thief, she'd never forgive me. My marriage would be over. Knowing that, why did you become a thief in the first place? Because Desi spends money like it's water. There's no job in the world that could bring in enough money, except being a thief. At least that's what I thought anyway. So he became the mask for Desiree, huh? What do you think about this? I don't really think I can help you with that, or no, that's not it. It's just that the thing is, I don't really know if I can say one way or the other. I didn't really catch that, don't worry, you didn't miss anything. Nah, that's his default answer. Hey, this is an article about my debut heist. Boy, that was a tough one. Before I knew it, they were hot on my trail. But Mask the Mask, he must have gotten away, right? It says in the article that he disappeared. That's right. I got a sudden burst of inspiration. I hid my Mask the Mask costume in a nearby plastic bucket. Then I quickly changed it to my security guard uniform. Pretty clever, eh? Wow, awesome. Hey, hold the phone. The guard in this photo? Is this you, Mr. Delight? Hey, that's right. Nice trick if I do say so myself. Nice and easy to figure out. Even Pearls could see through that in her heartbeat. Newspaper clipping updated in the court record. Huh. But as you might expect, Detective Atme found the disguise. He truly deserves the title of Ace Detective. Detective Atme found the Mask disguise? That's interesting. Yes, and I heard that he brought it home with him. So that's it. That's when Atme got his hands on this. Thanks to that, I got the chance to remake my costume. Must have been really time-consuming, huh? Yes, it took quite a while to complete. Anyway, a few days after that, I received the first of the blackmail letters. Blackmail letters? You got them starting when? Tell me more, now! Hey, calm down. Don't get so worked up. This blackmail letter, is this the first one you got? No, of course not. But this is the first one that ever called me out to a specific location. So did you start receiving blackmail letters after this incident? Yes, just a few days after the Tear of Emanon heist. That first letter, it said, I know you did it, so someone found out about your true identity, just like that. It's not easy being a master thief, you know. I've got proof that it was you, so give up, it went on to say. So in the end, I had to give up the treasure I went through all that trouble to steal. Is that right? Hey, hang on a second. What do you mean you had to give it up? Oh, don't worry. After I put the jewel in the safe deposit box the letter specified, someone sent me $10,000. No one said anything about me being worried, you know? After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. Plans? Heist plans. Ah, yeah, okay. What are these plans you're talking about? They were instructions on how to steal a crown or painting or some other rare treasure. They showed security blind spot, escape routes, and even suggested training methods. So you mean that the one who planned the heist wasn't you? No, it wasn't. I only planned the very first one. After that, I received plans from some very kind person. Incredibly detailed plans. It sounds like Mr. Delight is thankful to the person that was blackmailing him. So Ron Delight was Master Mask after all, but someone else is beyond the thefts. Someone who planned them all out in detail. All I had to do was deposit the treasures I stole into the safe deposit box. Then I just waited for the cash to come in the mail. Could you try not to look so gleeful about it? So you went after the sacred urn because of one of those plans too? Well, see, truth is, I've never seen the urn. All I did was follow the instructions and steal what I was told to steal. Mr. Delight, is everything you've just told me the truth? Yes, but please don't tell Desi, okay? From the mask's second heist on, he was stealing as directed by blackmail letters. Ron, before we go, there's one more thing I want to ask you. Yes? But please don't hurt me. Mr. Kane Bullard, do you swear that it wasn't you who killed him? Yes, of course, I could never. I'm not lying. All I did was hide his body in the safe, but then I was afraid to discover what I did, so I turned myself in yesterday. Why? What if the judge had ruled that I was guilty of robbery, then I'd have an alibi, right? Yeah, that's what I said earlier. I guess so. You're really clever, Mr. Delight. I guess I have no choice but to take Mr. Delight at his word. Mystic Maya? Hey, Pearls. Yeah, I guess so, because only her would call her Mystic Maya. Hey, Pearly. I'm back. Hey, Pearls. So, what have you been up to this whole time? The Sacred Urn, Mr. Nick. I took it back to Crane Village to have it examined. And? What did you find out? Well, there's no need to worry. They said it's the real urn. Oof. That's relief. I was really worried. But there's one small problem. Problem? These cute little pink splotches. They said that it's paint and that they were put on the urn recently. Why are we talking about the pink splotches again? What's the big deal? The big deal is that they don't connect with the pieces. So it means that the splotches were put on the urn when it was broken into pieces, and that it was put back together after it had been stained, after the pieces had been stained with pink paint. What's the big deal? We've got to find out how they got there. That's the big deal. Yes, Mr. Nick, we've got to find out how they got there. Okay, we'll go find out how they got there. Please don't forget about me. It's a genuine article. It's time to go back to this place. October 13, Lorley Taylor, basement warehouse. Oh, Pearl, how nice to see you. Hello there. I haven't seen you around lately. What have you been up to? Well, actually, I was having this urn examined. Oh, I see. Maybe if we take another good look at this urn, we can figure out the mystery of what actually happened here. Well, I think I've got it mostly figured out. Nick, let's look around one more time. Examine. Right. This box, there's something about it that's bothering me. That's the box that the sacred urn was in. It looks like there's some pink paint on it too. And it's definitely the same color as the stuff on the urn. I think I know how the paint got on it now. Alright, let's investigate again, Nick. And the box had been right there at some point. It looks to me like it's been dry for several days. There's something suspicious about this paint mark. Something tells me, because she has something to hide, that it was Andrews who broke it. It got stained, and she put it back together, but she put it back together better than it was put back together by Pearl in the previous game. The bottom left part of it is shaped oddly, and it's shocking pink. Mr. Nick, could it be that this odd shape is... Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. Ah, that's the box the sacred urn was in. If you look here, there's a little bit of paint on the box as well. Well, you're right, look, it matches. I figured that out a long time ago. Only now is it relevant in some way. What is it, Mr. Nick? This is all turning out exactly as I thought it would. Paint marks added to the court record. Completely dry, the box of the sacred urn fits in the gap perfectly. I think it's all starting to become clear. We're that much closer to solving the mystery of what happened to the urn. Well, alright, I think this is everything. Now I can unlock her psyche locks. Right, do you know anything about the secret urn? Do I know anything? I'm in charge of the entire treasure exhibit. The urn that was submitted before the court today. It's obviously not the same urn as before. Well, that's true. Well, it isn't the same. It could be a fake. A fake? You're the one who said it wasn't the same, so that's the most obvious explanation. Do you have any evidence the urn that was submitted at the trial was genuine? Sorry to break it to you, but the urn is the genuine article. Pearls went back to Crane Village and had it examined. Is that right? That's nice, but I don't see how. What she discovered was that the urn had been broken again. Did you say again? Yes, it was broken once, a year ago, and now it looks like the same thing has happened. And quite recently, too. Recently? Are you saying that this urn was broken recently? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And the reason she tried to polish it so much that it was glowing, like she said before, was not so much that she wanted it to look valuable or anything. She wanted to try to get the paints to come off. Why do you think it was broken recently? How do you know? Ah, no, wait. This, maybe. Yeah. The picture shows the letters not being in the same order as they are on the urn as it is now. This poster, it was made recently, right? Poster? Ah, the poster for the exhibit. At the time when this photo was taken, the urn said, I am on it. But now, for some mysterious reason, it says Amy. Like it used to originally before it was broken. When the urn was fixed, the letters were transposed. Ah. Okay, there we go. I am. What does that even mean? I don't know anything about that. I wasn't even there when the photo for this poster was taken. That was a mistake. Now, tell the truth. Wait. Even if the urn was broken, I had nothing to do with it. Huh? Yes, that's it. It must have been one of the people at the photo shoot. They probably dropped it. I'm sure that's what happened. Well, you look suspicious enough the way you're reacting to the news. It looks like she's not going to give up that last psyche lock so easily. Do you have any proof the urn was broken here at Lord Taylor? Well, the box, isn't it? Well, Miss Andrews? What is this supposed to mean? This urn was these pretty little pink paint splotches on it. And there's some of them on the box the urn was stored in too. No matter how you look at it, the paint seems to be exactly the same, wouldn't you say? So, what does that prove? The urn was dropped along with the box. That's when they both got paint on them. Are you with me so far? Yes. The rest of the story is obvious. This box was dropped right here in Lord Taylor's basement warehouse. And she's gonna say, you have to prove that it was really dropped in the basement warehouse. Do you have any proof of that? And then you have to show the marks on the floor. If I can prove that, it means that the urn was broken here too. So you can prove that? Yeah. I could see where this was going. I think you already know where I'm going with this, don't you? Yes, more or less. There's pink paint splattered on the floor and walls of this basement warehouse, but there's an odd shape imprinted into a part of the paint stain, am I right? Yes. If you put this box into the impression in the paint, you can see it fits perfectly. Which means this box was dropped right over there. And that is when the urn was broken. Your name does you justice, Mr. Right. Because I'm right. I'm so sorry. I was the one who broke the urn. Boy, does this make me feel like some sort of evil school teacher. I'm a terrible person. Not only did I break it, but I tried to hide what I did. Well, that's not so hard to understand, is it, Pearly? No, not at all. I know just how she feels. Because she broke it and tried to fix it herself, too. It happened about 2 weeks ago, just after the poster photo was taken, on the same day the urn arrived here. I thought I'd put it away down here for safekeeping. I was carrying it in the box. When I tripped on a paint can and lost my balance, the box I was carrying crashed to the ground. Crash. I heard a terrible noise and I thought my heart was going to stop. Fearing the worst, I opened the lid of the box and that's when it happened. The broken pieces of the urn fell out of the box and landed right in the paint. I was in shock. I let out a huge scream. I can totally see how that could have happened. Yeah, as clumsy as she is, I'm sure Maya understands. Well, I knew it was the most important treasure in all of Kurain village, so I tried as hard as I could to fix it. Unfortunately, the shards were pretty big. And that's when the I am got changed to Amy. Well, that's what it was saying originally, so she improved it in some way. I didn't know how it was originally written, but any sane person fixing it would have assumed it said Amy. Any sane person? Really? Except Pearly, I guess. Oh, Pearls. She said she wasn't very good at spelling. Anyway, I put the urn into the storeroom and no one had seen it since then. Secret urn updated in the court record. But there's something I don't get. When we first came here, I didn't see any paint stains. Maybe because the statue had been moved, so as to cover the paint stains? Well, that's because it was so ugly and embarrassing, I used the golden statue to cover it, yeah. The Emmy face statue, aha. The first time that we came down here, it was on the night that the sacred urn was stolen. But Mr. Nick, there were no paint marks on the wall or floor of the warehouse when we were here. You'd think that would show at least a little bit. Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. And I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it right where you first saw it. Give me a sec. I blow some cool air in my face so as to not yawn so much. I see, now it makes perfect sense. But there's still one thing I find strange. What is it, Pearl? The day after the urn was stolen, we came here again. At that time, the statue had been moved and the paint was clearly visible. Yeah, it was moved when the sword was taken from it, perhaps. She's right about that. Well, Miss Andrews? Huh? What? I don't know anything about that. I placed it there to cover the paint, so why would I move it again? Well then, who was it? Who would have done it and why? On the day before the theft, the statue was definitely closer to the door. And on the next day, it was further to the right. And it didn't have the sword anymore, so I would think that it has something to do with the time when the sword was taken. Amy's golden statue updated in the court record. It looks like there's some connection between the sacred urn and the murder case. Why? Why do you think so, Nick? Because that night, the real thief Ron Delight was at KB Security. So then, why did another Master Mask show up here? A lot of different things are pointing to one undeniable fact. One undeniable fact? The murder trial is starting tomorrow, but It looks like that thief is going to be making another appearance. I'm starting to think that the murderer is Look At Me, and that he agreed to take the blame for being Mask the Mask, so as not to be framed for the murder himself. Which was the reason why the other guy wanted to pretend to be Mask the Mask as well, or to pretend at least that he was the one who stole the urn, so as to not be charged with the murder. I mean, it's starting to look that way. Plus, it was very brief. It happened very quickly, but the shadow that we saw in the cutscene before, when Ron Delight was recounting the time when he was when he found the body and everything, it kind of looked like Look At Me. So I'm inclined to think that it was Look At Me who went there to how am I going to explain it? To knock Ron Delight out, and who murdered the CEO of KB Security. And perhaps he was hurt on the head, not by the sword, but by something else, perhaps. But I'm not sure yet. I don't have enough elements to be able to prove that at this point. But this is how I feel about it right now. I guess truth will out soon enough. October 14th, 9:41 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 4. Hey, Nick. What is it this time? You won't believe how many people are here for the trial. Well, it is a murder case. What are you talking about? They're here for the trial next door. Next door? Why don't you notice, Nick? They're having Detective Atme's trial today. Detective Atme? They said they're going to try him as Mask the Mask. Already? That was fast. Boy, I'd love to see Mask the Mask's trial. I know. By the way, where's Pearls? Oh, she went back home. She said she can't neglect her training anymore. I know you don't like me. Pearls has really gotten into her training lately, huh? Yeah, ever since that incident last year. Please! Don't ignore me! Oh, Mr. Delight, good morning! No one likes me. No one would notice me, even if I killed someone. Come on, don't be silly. Wait a sec. You don't mean you're the murderer? No, I'm just a poor thief. No, wait, that's not right. A thief can't really be poor. Now, let's see. According to Mr. Delight, from his second crime on, he was following a bunch of set plans. Plans that someone had been sending to him to help him commit the heists. Do you really think there's a connection between the thief and the murder? Nick, it's possible, but today's trial is a race against the clock. Huh? How come? Let's just take our time like always. I'm afraid that's not an option. Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Ron Delight. The defense is ready, Your Honor. You're ready? Ah, shit, I skipped it again. Jeez, this is a bad habit I have. Okay, settle down, everyone. Let's begin with your opening statement, Mr. Godo. He's got the judge in the palm of his hand yet again. Ron Delight is simply too young to be sent to war. That's all. I'm afraid I have no idea what that means, Mr. Godo. Ha, then you need to get out more, Your Honor. Life is war, but that is exactly why you must be more precise with your wording. That's all my statement means. You understand now, right? Yes, well then, let me briefly summarize the details of this case. Wow, the judge is taking charge like he knows what's going on for a change. The victim is Kane Bullard, CEO of KB Security. His body was found in a safe at approximately 9 a.m. on the morning of the 13th. However, the time of death was estimated as 1 a.m. of the previous day. And that's when our little lost kitten dropped the ball. That little lost kitten is of course the defendant. Very well then, Mr. Godo, please call your first witness. What is it now? I never drink more than 17 cups of coffee during any given trial. But the first one is always the best. Mr. Godo, your witness? Okay, then let's hear what the defendant, Mr. Rondelite, has to say for himself. Defendant? Well, Mr. Wright, does the defense have any objections? It may be a bit of a disadvantage having the defendant testify, but I remember when Mia was defending me, she allowed me to testify so she could do the cross-examination. She put a lot of trust in me back then. We have no objections, Your Honor. The defense will allow Mr. Delight to testify. Ha! You've got guts, right. Alright then, Mr. Rondelite, please take the stand. You did it, didn't you? Yes. What? No, that's not true. For a moment there I thought we'd set the record for the shortest trial ever. Well, Mr. Delight already looks plenty guilty with that face he's making, and once he opens his big mouth, he's probably put the last nail in his own coffin. Ha, very well. Now then, can you tell me something? If you didn't kill Bullard, why did you go to KB Security? Well, that's kind of hard to say. Boy, I wish I could go home. Now then, let's hear some testimony about what happened. My visit to KB Security. That evening, around 1 AM, I went to see Mr. Bullard in his office at KB Security. Blackmail letter I got. It ordered me to go there. I'd been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was. That's it. The exact time that the murder took place, 1 AM. Yeah. The weak get washed away by the tides of fate. The strong drink it up. Ha! It's bitter today too, just like my destiny. You'd never know that from the way he's chugging it down. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please. That evening around 1 AM, I went to see Mr. Bullard in his office at KB Security. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. It ordered you there? It was the first time I'd gotten a blackmail letter that ordered me to go somewhere. Does that mean you've gotten other blackmail letters then? Oh, of course. Ah, shit. Why don't you save those for later, Mr. Delight? Please don't say any more. Now, what should I do? So what did the blackmail letter in question say? It said to bring $50,000. Money, yeah. A perfect motive for committing murder. Oh, but wait! I never intended to pay that money anyway. Oh, is that right? After all, he had nothing to hold over my head. I had nothing to be afraid of. An important point indeed. Witness, let's have that added to your testimony. Yes, sir. Ha. A muddy mudskipper in outer space has a better chance of surviving than I do. The blackmail threat didn't scare me. It wasn't going to cause me trouble or anything. Oh, really? Just what were you being blackmailed about anyway? The blackmail letter said if you don't want your identity revealed, correct? I'm sure it was referring to the whole mask the mask thing. But I wasn't worried. Mr. Bullet didn't have anything on me. He didn't? Anyway, I don't care what anyone says about me. Just as long as Desi believes in me. So that's why Miss Delight didn't believe he was Master Mask. That's why I knew they were just hollow threats. I'd been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was. You used to be a security chief for KB Security, right? Yes, that's right. A security chief? You! And yet a year ago you were fired without notice. Revenge for an old grudge? A perfect motive for murder, wouldn't you say? This isn't good. Maybe I should change the subject. Mr. Delight, please tell us why you were fired from your job. Well, the world is filled with those who have said, I wish I had never asked that. Okay, then I take it back. Defendant, please answer the question. I needed money. You needed money? Well, you see, Desi loves to spend it. It's kind of her hobby. Not exactly the best hobby in the world, huh, Nick? My salary wasn't nearly enough, so I stole data from the company. Should have just told her to get a job. And that's it. So I sold data from the company. Oh, come again? KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies, and since I was a security team chief, he stole some data and sold it. Mr. Bullard found out and I was fired immediately. Why, I wish I had never asked that. Godo was right. I was somehow able to keep it secret and made it seem like I had quit on my own. What is it, Nick? You don't look so good. Someone who brings harm to their company is fired as punishment. You do well to remember that. He sure told you. So you admit that you stole data from your company, is that correct? Yes, I'm sorry. This is a very important fact. Please add it to your testimony. Oh man, this whole thing just took a big turn for the worse. Crashed and blew up. It's gonna take the jaws of life to rip this case from the clutches of disaster. He fired me for selling company secrets, but Desi doesn't know about that. Hold on, let me save first. Just to be sure. He didn't want his wife to find out. He said so himself. He just said so himself. Mr. Delight, what you said just now doesn't match what you told me yesterday. Huh? What doesn't? I think you must have been scared, very scared, of having a certain person find out your secret. A certain person. Miss Desiree Delight, the defendant's wife, or it's more like Mrs. Yeah, is what I should say. What? But listen to me, my Desi, she is... Looks like if I just sit back and relax, the fun will end before it truly begins. Godo. Yes, we know it was all your wife's fault. What do you mean? Mr. Delight stole company data to pay for his wife's spending habit, for which he was fired. Unable to face his own wife, someone used his dirty little secret to blackmail him. And that is how this murder came about. Oh, No, everything is falling neatly into place for him. Don't talk about my Desi like that, or you'll be sorry! Well, it seems that we've learned a great deal of things here so far. What do you think, Nick? I didn't think it was possible to get so thoroughly whipped in just 20 minutes. You would know about being whipped from Francisca von Karma, I should think. Clearly there was sufficient motive for murder. He stole data for his wife and he killed to protect his secret. A family man who cared just a little too much. The motive is clear. Let's move on. What happened at the crime scene at 1 in the morning, Mr. Delight? Come now, tell us. We're all ears. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. It even has the monocle, the little magnifying glass that Look At Me uses for a monocle on the shadow, so it has to be him. Suddenly I was hit on the forehead. After that I remember being a bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. When I came to, Mr. Bullet was lying there, dead. I see. Suddenly hit on the forehead, huh? I believe the detective from yesterday provided similar testimony. He said that the mask struck him on the head from behind. Of course, since Atme turned out to be the culprit himself, that was all a lie. Ha, no one's going to believe a pathetic lie like that. What are you saying? I really was attacked. We'll find out if what you say is true or not during the cross-examination. Got that, Mr. Trite? Don't go easy just because he's your client. If I see any sign that you are, I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend. A cup in the face. You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Godo. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it. At the CEO's office. Yeah, I want to know more about that shadow. Who was this suspicious shadow? If there were 1,000 me and even one new, I'd tell you, trust me. Is dodging all of our questions is not helping us win this case. Okay then, how was the victim Mr. Bullard at that time? What do you mean by how was he? Was he already dead? Was he still alive? Maybe he was the one who hit you in the first place. That's a good question. What do you think, Mr. Wright? Forget it. Okay, well, that doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Suddenly, I was hit on the forehead. After that, I will remember being a bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. Wearing what? That? Could you please clarify what you are referring to? Why, my Mask the Mask costume, of course. Wait just a moment. Mask the Mask? Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? Just to be on the safe side, I dressed as Mask the Mask. And then I descended upon the office of the CEO of KB Security. What? Nick, did you know about this? He never told me this. I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me either. Even I didn't know that. Hey, the lights on your mask are blinking or something. It seems our little friend really loves to keep secrets. I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. Wait, that's not right. You know how sometimes things just slip your mind. Ha, my sixth cup of coffee is tearing up at me coldly. At any rate, we can't ignore this new piece of information. Witness, please correct your testimony. I'd have been killed if I hadn't been wearing my Mask the Mask costume. Why were you dressed up as Mask the Mask? Why? Because I'm Mask the Mask, of course. What are you talking about? Mask the Mask's trial is being held next door. Yes, I guess so. Anyway, at that time, I thought I was being blackmailed over the Mask the Mask issue. So I thought I should go as him just to be safe. Oh boy. Let me tell you, it's a real pain to move around with that cape. That's why it took a lot longer than I had expected. Took a lot longer? What is he talking about? I should press harder on this. What do you mean by took a lot longer? Oh, opening the safe, of course. My cape got caught on the safe door, you see. This all happened when I was hiding Mr. Bullard's body. That must be funny. Why doesn't this game have cutscenes so we could have seen this? What was that? Back up a second. Yes, you were the one that hid the body in the safe? Well, yeah. Inconceivable. Why? Just why? What reason could you have? What were you thinking? Question. When does someone toss their dirty shorts in the washing machine? Huh? What? The answer is simple. When they take them off. As usual, I have no idea what you're saying. Do you mean that Mr. Delight hid the body because he's the murderer? Ha! So you're not as stupid as you look. His metaphor this time was really obscure. Mr. Wright, you don't mean that you knew about this whole safe business, do you? Well, yes. Why am I the only one not in the loop here? Witness, make sure you add this to your testimony. Yes, sir. Uh-oh. Looks like the storm front is moving in over the fair weather judge. I panicked and hid the body in the safe. It took about 10 minutes. Why did you hide the body in the safe anyway? Well, because it wouldn't fit in a drawer. That's not exactly what I meant. When I saw that corpse, I kind of lost it. I thought if they find this corpse, they'll think I did it. Ha, I think you had a simpler reason than that. It's because you killed him. That's why you spent 10 minutes hiding the body. That certainly makes more sense. Hold on. 10 minutes? What is it, Nick? I just had a thought. Under those circumstances, would you normally try to hide the body and spend 10 whole minutes to do it under those circumstances? What circumstances? Oh, hey, Nick. If you think his behavior was so strange, why don't you present some evidence that would show just what those circumstances were? That's it. I'll take a look at the court record and present some evidence. We heard this from Mr. Delight yesterday, didn't we? There's not much in this testimony either. I betcha he's still hiding something. I wouldn't be surprised. I just hope it doesn't make things any more complicated. So I have to present something. The circumstances. If it's not that, then I don't know what it is, but the record says that the buzzer was ringing, right? Yeah, it went off. So if you had an alarm going on, would you just stay back and take your 10 minutes while the alarm was going off to hide the body in the safe? Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record? And what might this be? The record for the emergency buzzer that connects the CEO's office to security. If the button in the office is pressed, the security team is supposed to come running. And according to this record, the buzzer was pushed once at 1:02 a.m. What? If Mr. Ron Delight truly was the murderer, he would have ran as soon as that buzzer sounded. After all, a security guard would have been heading his way.
Objection!
Let's remember who we're dealing with here. He probably had no idea there were security personnel in the building. He used to work there.
Objection!
Up until 1 year ago, my client was working as a chief of security. There's no way he wouldn't have known about them.
Objection!
But, as it turns out, the guard never came. That was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser who had just gotten punched in the face by his ex's new boyfriend and wasn't anywhere in the vicinity was not something Mr. Delight could have known.
Objection!
Again, remember who we're dealing with here. It's a sure bet that Mr. Delight didn't even notice the buzzer going off. It's pretty loud. Yeah, there is no way he could have ignored something like that. If he had been conscious, that is. Conscious? What do you mean by that? Fine, let's hear your theory. Recall the defendant's testimony. The moment he entered the victim's office, someone attacked him. Mr. Delight said he felt dazed. I'm willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes. Unconscious? So he fainted? That's why Mr. Delight didn't know that the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body. So what are you trying to say? Mr. Delight was knocked out, and the buzzer went off soon afterwards. Now, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer while he was unconscious, it can only mean that there was another person in that room. That's right, whoever it was, they knocked out Ron Delight and they pressed the buzzer. Order in the court, Mr. Wright. This is...
Objection!
This is preposterous. It was this kid. Ron Delight is the one who killed Kane Bullard. And who pressed the buzzer? It was the victim, of course. He pressed the buzzer when the defendant attacked him. He didn't die right away. He must have held on long enough to push that button. So Kane Bullard sounded the buzzer himself. What is your opinion on this, Mr. Wright? I need to prove that the real criminal was there at the scene, but how? Well, can I? Connected to the basement security guard office, there are no fingerprints on it. Was the victim wearing gloves? No. I don't have a picture of the victim. Well, I just saved, so I could try by showing the button and the fact that there were no fingerprints on it. The defense's opinion is this, Your Honor. And besides, the victim wouldn't have put on gloves so has to press the button, right? That wouldn't have made sense. The victim had no reason to conceal his fingerprints on the button, right? I believe this is the piece of incontrovertible evidence you were looking for. The emergency buzzer? Is there some kind of clue on it? Absolutely not. It's the lack of clue on it that is the clue. Hey, come on now, at least give some thought to what you say before opening your mouth. The fact that there are absolutely no clues is itself the clue. Well, thank you for just repeating what I just said, Phoenix. Now I'm the one who's clueless. This button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullard had really pressed it himself, naturally he would have left his fingerprints behind.
Objection.
Ron Delight obviously wiped them off. Why would he? A guard could have come in at any moment. He touched that button, I know he did. The defendant, Mr. Delight, was dressed as Mask the Mask. And Mask the Mask always wears gloves. What reason could he possibly have had to wipe the button free of fingerprints? True indeed, yeah. That is also true. Order, order, order. It would seem. I've been forced to eat crow. I wonder what blend number crow-flavored coffee is. However, if the real killer was there at the scene, why would that person press the emergency buzzer? Shouldn't they have run away without putting themselves in extra danger? Oops. What's with this awkward silence all of a sudden? It looks like you're fresh out of parlor tricks. They're on to you, Nick. Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. The real culprit killed Mr. Bullard at around 1 AM. And Mr. Delight just happened to waltz in when the murder was taking place, right? The killer clobbered Mr. Delight and then sounded the buzzer. Even though security was supposed to respond right away if the buzzer was pressed, security was supposed to respond. Time's up, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you have to say. Very well then. Ho ho. You've got some guts. I like that in an opponent. Why did the real killer sound the emergency buzzer? To call the security guard, yeah? I suppose so. Except he couldn't have known that Larry Butts is a lazy bum. The killer knew that if they pressed that button, the guard would come running. And that was exactly what they wanted. Do you mean to say the killer called the guard on purpose? Yes, although as it turned out, he never showed up. Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time. Ha, what a touching story. You're saying the killer had a change of heart and called the guard to turn himself in? No, to frame the other guy, obviously. The guy unconscious on the floor, Mask the Mask, my client. No, I'm not. When that buzzer sounded, there were 3 people in that office. The victim, Ken Bullard, who was already dead. The defendant, Ron Delight, who was out cold. And the third person, the real killer. Look at me, if you ask me. Hypothetically, yes. Now then, in this situation, if the real killer made an escape, what would happen? The only ones left in the room would be the victim and Ron Delight. And if any security guards came running in at that time, they would think that I was the murderer. Yes, that was precisely the real killer's objective. To frame Ron Delight for the murder. Order! 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 It would seem. How many cups does he have? I've been made to eat my words once again. Actually, you've been made to do a spit take with a cup of coffee. Mr. Wright, who was it? Who was it that tried to frame me? Wait a second. I'm the one and only Mask the Mask, so... Nick, you mean the real killer is... We're going to drag that person in here right now. He's next door. But who is it? I don't have any solid proof yet, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delight's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to KB security that night. Yeah, he knew about the letter because he was the one who told us about it. He told us about the green letter. How would he know unless he was the one who sent that letter? So the killer used him to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kane Bullard. What motive did he have to kill the head of KB Security, though? That's something I have no clue about right now. Now then, let's hear your accusation, Mr. Wright. Who was it that framed Mr. Rondelight for the murder of Kane Bullard?
Take that!
Detective, look at me. He's the only one who could have done it. Yes, Detective. Look at me? You mean Master Mask did it? Your Honor, the person being tried in the court next to us is not Master Mask at all. He is, in actuality, the true murderer of Kane Bullard. And, well, Look at Me had a costume of Mask the Mask. The one found in the trash can, in which the real Mask the Mask hid his costume on that first heist. The one from the newspaper clipping. So he could have disguised himself as Mask the Mask. But, if he was the one who stole the urn, how could he make it to the other location in time for the murder? That doesn't make sense. That's something I haven't figured out yet. He is in actuality the true murderer of Kane Bullard. Order! Order! Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Theft and murder. Which is the more serious crime? They are not even close. Murder is the more serious crime, of course. It's capital crime subject to a capital punishment. Please remember the trial from yesterday, if you would. When Look at Me confessed, there was a huge commotion in the courtroom. Of course, a famous detective was unmasked as well as Master Mask. Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objective all along. To be found guilty, Master Mask had the perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lord Taylor. In other words, being found guilty as Master Mask was Look at Me's airtight, watertight, and unassailable alibi. A guilty verdict. As an alibi? You know, it's almost time. For what? For Look at Me's verdict. It was a pretty simple trial after all. If we're going to stop this trial and stall that one, we need to do it now. Of course, that's assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed the murder. Hold on. Let me say, because if they ask me to show proof here... If we were to intrude and failed to provide adequate proof of his true crime, Mr. Delight would be left with no grounds for appeal. Am I really sure about this? Ha! I bet it's only good when your life's the ante. Mr. Wright, I believe in you, Mr. Delight. So please, I'm begging you! Thanks, but my decision will determine the rest of your life. Can I really risk your life like this? Phoenix! What was that? Don't stray, Phoenix. For your client, take the path of trust. That voice, it sounds like... Mia! Your Honor, the defense requests an immediate recess. Huh. So that's your answer, huh? Very well, I've decided as well. This court will now take a 20-minute recess. Mr. Wright, when we return, please summon Mr. Look at Me to the stand. Yes, Your Honor. October 14th, 11:58 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 5. It's this guy. Well, Sir Detective Atme. I have to say, Mr. Payne, you performed splendidly. Oh no, Sir Detective Atme, you were the one who... Well, who's that judge? His face is weird. That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong this trial. This court finds the defendant Look at Me.
Hold it!
Wait! Don't hand down your verdict yet, please. Well, Sir Lawyer, welcome to my courtroom. Who's this hoser? Hey! My name is Phoenix Wright, attorney at law, and I wish to file an accusation against this man. Look at me. Accusation? You accuse Master Mask? That man is not Master Mask. He's just a ruthless murderer. What? The face of that judge is so weird. To be continued. I might not have enough time to finish the case today. And I'm so close. I'm so close to the end of this one. My sis? I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice. So then she's still alive. Nikki boy. Oh, Miss Delight. Is it true that Detective is the real killer? To be honest, we don't have any definite proof, but he's the only one who could have done it. But wasn't he at Lord Taylor that night? Yeah, that's the thing that bothers me the most. Not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive, and that bothers me too, yeah, quite a bit. I mean, why would Detective Atme want to kill Kane Bullard? Oops, it's almost time, better get back to the courtroom. I need to find some solid proof, and it's gotta happen sooner rather than later. Now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Look at me, please take the stand. Well, well, how do you do, Sir Lawyer? I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly. I couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet, not when it would have given you your perfect alibi, an alibi by the name of Master Mask. I'm sorry, I'm afraid even the great Look at Me has no idea what you mean. Of course, I have been in the next courtroom ever since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on here. You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Master Mask. Indeed, it's truly child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their own property to them. Take this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example. That was in the blackmail letter. The red stone, he said, or something like that. A red diamond. Yeah, I think... If you don't want your true identity revealed to the world, come to KB Security at 1 AM. If you don't, I'll take that red diamond you received the other day instead. Of course. Very well then, Look at me. Let us begin with this simple question. On October 12th at 1 AM, Ken Bullard was murdered. Where were you at that time? One without knowledge lacks even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. But don't worry, I will not hold it against you, Sir Judge. Thanks. Alright, Mr. Atme, the night of the murder. Speak. We're all ears. As you wish, Sir Prosecutor. The alibi. I was stealing the urn as Master Mask just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. The photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured Master Mask was the same time as the murder. Your nose is too big to have hidden behind that mask. It seems the main point of discussion will be this photo of the crime scene. Everything else up until now was all part of his plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well. Even the great Master Mask cannot be in two places at once. Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have a verdict to receive. Unfortunately, Mr. Atme, we still have to do your cross-examination. A fool is too foolish to know that he is a fool. I think I've heard that somewhere before. Well, it's not the first time that Phoenix hears that anyway. I think he's trying to say that you're full of it, Nick. The only thing that's full of it is his alibi. Full of bullshit. I was stealing the urn as Master Mask just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point. That's right, that was over 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. You sent the calling card to Lordly Taylor 10 days before the heist. That would mean you sent out the card after you began your security watch, right? Indeed, there was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target. I see. You truly are evil, aren't you? Yes, evil is what I am. Hey, Nick, isn't there something odd about this? Detective Atme was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lordly Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona. You know, that's true. It is kind of odd. Photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured the mask was the same time as the murder. About the camera that took this photograph. Oh, come now, it's all too clear what you're thinking. Huh? You think I altered the timestamp on the photograph, don't you? You had the opportunity. You were the one. Ah, it's true, yeah. Because he was the one who set up the computer. He said so himself. Don't I have proof of this? Yeah, I probably don't, but yeah, it's true, it could have been tampered with. I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lordly Taylor, and on top of that, it was Lordly Taylor's staff that printed that picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there was no way that picture could have been altered, but didn't he say the contrary, that it was him who set up the thing? That it belonged to Lordly Taylor, but that it was set up by someone else? Looks like I'd better find something else that could be suspicious. So this alibi is false. It has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at KB Security, but I'm not really spotting anything unusual. There are two possibilities. Either the mask in the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is. And I'd veer more towards the latter, because it's the only way. I mean, the costume, there exists only two. The one that the real mask, the mask Ron Delight was wearing at the site of the murder, and the one that Look At Me got from that trash can during the first heist, when he changed into his security guard outfit. In this case, one turned out to be my witness. So by photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here, is that correct? Indeed it is. That is it, the very thing that proves I committed the crime. The very thing that proves you committed the crime. Surely even you understand by now. Lordly Taylor provided that camera. There's no way I could have tampered with it. That means I could not have killed Kane Bullard unless I had an accomplice. What if he had? Come on, think long and hard about that night. The basement warehouse and this picture that supposedly captures it. It's got to be here. Isn't there something funny about this picture? Well, I find it a bit weird that at that moment, the statue of Amy had already been moved. Because this is something that they pointed out earlier, and they really insisted on the fact, so it has to be important. The only thing in this photo that looks different from what it should be is the fact that the statue wasn't there already. It wasn't there anymore already. Because it was there before, and after it wasn't there. And at the moment where he stepped out of the big safe room or something, well, it wasn't there anymore. Yes, there is. Are you implying that this picture is a fake? You bet I am. There's definitely something strange about this picture. We took a look around the basement warehouse that night before the theft took place, and there's something in this photo that doesn't match my memory of that night. Very well. Then let's hear what you have to say. What about this photograph do you find funny? This part right there,
Take that!
where the statue should be. The funny part is right here. Why this is a blood stain. No, it isn't. Ah, blood! Now this case is getting interesting. Not exactly. This stain is actually pink paint. Oh, just paint, and peach colored at that. From blood to peaches, the judge sure loves going on his wild tangents. The problem with this photograph is not the paint. The problem is, when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse, it turns out that something that should be there is nowhere to be seen. He's sweating. Well, Mr. Wright, what is supposed to be in this picture instead of the paint stains?
Take that!
The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following. Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it. I myself was there the night the theft took place and saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken on that night, then that statue should have been there.
Objection!
It was taken later then? But when I went there the day after the theft, that statue of the old bag was sitting in the corner. Perhaps it was somehow pushed there accidentally. Your Honor, the statue is slightly larger than yourself and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it that distance. Ha, in that case, can you prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why that statue was moved that night? Can you do it, Nick? Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it? Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you are prepared with your answer. Now then, who was the one that moved the golden statue on the night of the crime? But it has to be him. In some way. He was supposed to be the only one on the site at that moment. The one who moved the statue is none other than Look At Me. Come now, Sir Lawyer. There you go again on one of your strange delusions. He's so smug. Am I wrong with that one? Mr. Wright, what basis do you have for your strange delusions? It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night. Well, that's what I thought about too, but that is indeed very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue? The reason for moving the golden statue, here's where our battle really begins. Indeed. Let me save. Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move that statue? The reason can be found here in this photograph. Look at me, you pretended to be mask to mask, to create an alibi by showing you were at Lordly Taylor that night. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would be exposed like a cheap film at a drugstore. This is why you had to move the statue. A single fatal flaw? Interesting theory, please enlighten us. Just where in this picture does this lie exist? Well, if there is anything that lies in this picture, I would think that it's a timestamp.
Take that!
Naturally, the lie in this photo is a timestamp. What do you mean? Well, it's the only thing that would be convenient to him. Why did he have to move the statue to accomplish that? I'm not too sure, but on the night in question, Look At Me went to KB Security and murdered Ken Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been impossible for him to have been at Lordly Taylor at this time. But what does that have to do with the statue being moved? Remember, if you will, Your Honor. When was the statue placed beside the warehouse door? Well, the statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime. And it was placed there in order to cover up the paint. Exactly, Look At Me had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim, and so in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place. What the? Of course, the statue hadn't yet been brought down to the basement warehouse yet. But the urn had, since the paint stain was already there. I mean, his explanation doesn't make the most sense to me, but So on the day of the crime, Mr. Antony must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down and placed where it wasn't supposed to be. And that is why Look At Me had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He would have put it back in place though, right? No, or maybe not. He did it to make the room match with the way it had been in this photo. So maybe he didn't tamper with the timestamp. Yeah, he just took... The date isn't... The full date isn't on there. It's just the time. At which... The time of night at which the photo was taken that's on there. Order! Order! Mr. Atme, is it true? One moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this? What's that? The data for the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off on the night of the crime. It's true that the camera had been set up by the Lord Retailer's staff. However, the program used to manage the data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with the data. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Order! Order! Mr. Godo, what is the meaning of this? Godo, I warned you about making me wait. Now put that coffee down. My 11th cup. I've promised to drink no more than 17 during a trial, which means I'm still good till the last drop. However, the defense has a very good point. A good point? So what? We are all but travelers on a road of infinite points. I think he's got his points mixed up with his other points. So you say this photograph was taken ahead of time and that the statue was moved in order to make it match? That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied. Which is... that it's only a possibility. Men that are trapped by the chains of maybe can never reach their dreams. That's very true. No way, don't fall for that, Your Honor. Hey, Mr. Damask. Yes, if there's no funny businesses in your actions as Master Damask, there should be no problem with you telling us your strategy, so let's hear it. Yes, please provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the Sacred Urn. The Sacred Urn heist. I first received a request from Lordy Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box in Svari. It was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 AM on October 12th. That's pretty much all stuff we've heard before, isn't it? Yeah, but we will find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave. Witness, you're sure there are no mistakes this time? Svari. Very well then, Mr. Wright. You may begin your cross-examination. I will not have time to finish this, this case today. I first received a request from Lord Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in a box in Svari. It was sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. Isn't there something wrong with this one? Yeah, that was a bit weird to me at first too. The fact that they said that he says the speckled urn. That's not possible. How would he have known then that the urn was speckled?
Objection!
Mr. Atme, if you really are a Mask the Mask, then you also wrote this calling card, correct? But of course. Is there a problem with that calling card? Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Master Mask had written. Take good care of the speckled urn. Now, the speckled here surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn, which he might not necessarily have known had been just recently put on the urn. Yes, that is true, but so what? truth be told, there is no way that Master Mask could have known about this pattern unless he had seen the urn first. What do you mean? This pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains. Paint stains? And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor. I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Trite. The day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn was broken due to human error, or should I say an error-prone human. And that's when the pink paint got on the urn. You can't be serious. And yet this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means Detective Atme had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this fake photo was taken. And because this photo is a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder no longer holds water. Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself? Alright, that did it. He's broken. Nick, I think it's a little early for a victory pause, huh? Ha. It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days. Conviction, you say? Yesterday we all decided unanimously that this man was Master Mask. And now we're calling him a murderer? You don't think we're being a tad fickle? That's a good point. No way, don't fall for that too, Your Honor. You say that Look At Me was the one who killed Kane Bullard. Then let me ask you this. Why would he do that? An excellent point. Motive, Mr. Wright, motive. Might you, my What? Might you, my memory murderous motive manifest? I don't understand that sentence. Nick, he's getting his second wind. If you prepared an alibi and pinned this crime on Ron Delight, as you say, he must have had a very strong motive for murder. The only one with any motive we've seen is Ron Delight. Isn't that right, Detective? Indeed, according to my own research, the boy's motive is clear. Without the motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us as to what the defendant's motives were. I'd be honored to, Sir Old-Timer. They're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious. Yeah. Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance. Well, I'm gonna have to stop the stream here, I'm afraid. Because I have to go, unfortunately. I did say at the beginning that I wouldn't have much time to stream a lot today, but at least I managed to put in some progress and just moving forward with this thing. I will be back tomorrow, but in the afternoon, and so I will have a lot more time to progress, well, finish this case for sure tomorrow, and to get a good head start on the third case, normally. If everything goes according to plan, that should go smoothly. Yeah, I will be seeing you soon then. Have a good one, RNG. Until then, stay cool as much as possible, and take care until then. See ya, everyone.